This is a kind of going from abstract to the reality and reality to the abstract. If your mind permits you to flip and flop to this abstractness to the reality and reality to the abstractness, you are there in intellectual property. You can understand any damn IPR. If we are quite materialistic in our approach, and if we understand any subject in materialistic terms, perhaps we may end with filing the applications and waiting for registered post of our certificate of our client. So my session is to tell you that it's not the form and format, but it is something beyond that what we are talking about. Property is the manifested form that you first understand. And every manifested form behind it has intelligence. Is it intelligence property or is it intellectual property? Is it intelligence property or intelligence property or intellectual property? Is there any difference between intelligence and intellectuality? Is there any difference between these two terms? Why is the word intellectual being coined so? There is a beautiful quotation given by Sir It's more of materialistic in nature. That's what I'm saying. Manifested forms only get protected and the logic behind it gets protected. Say for example, I'm taking class here and if somebody records it and that recorded form is protected. My class as it is wiring now, cannot be protected in any way. Because what you are understanding is your only experience and that is not in any manifested form. Understanding which is within you cannot be protected in any way because it has no form at all. But this PPT, which has been, a form has been given to my intellect, this PPT can be protected. So that which is within you as a substance part cannot be protected under any intellectual property law globally. For that matter, say I have a dream. Can I protect my dream as it is? Perhaps no. Yes, as a movie in a celluloid like Bahubali, yes, can be protected. That has been dreamt by the director. He wants to put his dream in its realistic terms, in a tangible form. So he picturized it. Somebody has written a novel, Harry Potter. The author has a dream about the Harry Potter and so she has written that. And which is sold in millions and crores. So unless the intellect, whatever you have in substance, you put it in a manifested form, no intellectual property protects you. The moment you are putting it into a manifested form, we are talking of intellectuality but not intelligence. Because intelligence has a lot to do with reasoning and love. For example, why did I make this PPT? Tell me the reason. Why did I make this PPT? Instead of doing this work, I would have gone for a kind of a novel I could have written or a kind of an article I could have written. Why did I do this? Tell me the reason why. Why are you sitting here? Tell me the reason why. If you have a reason, you're talking about intelligence. If you have a reason, you are talking about intelligence. There is no reason why somebody makes mic or why somebody makes so many developments in mobile. Mobile is meant only for when you want to talk to me, I must be available over phone. You speak to me, that's it. Why should we have touch screen? Why should we have so much of storage? Why should there be a kind of congruence or conglomeration of all the technologies? Everything get manifested in mobile itself. Everything being taken into mobile. If you have mobile now, you have internet, you have television, you have fax machine, you have scanner, you have email, what not? You have everything except wife. You have everything. You have everything. Why is it so required? If you ask the reason why precisely, perhaps it's only to improvisation of what is already existing But for that, there is no reason. There will be reason in intelligence. There will be no reason in intellectuality. We talk of reasonless properties to be protected. So it's called intellectual property. For example, why should the chair is being designed like this when you have a sofa? Let us suppose if sofas are being put here, how many of us going to hear the lecture? There is a reason. There is a reason for not having sofas being designed for this purpose. There is a specific purpose for designing the chair. You will invariably, you cannot sleep in this chair. Try as much as you can. But in sofa, you cannot avoid being aware of or being awake. You fall down somewhere to sleep. Agree or disagree? So there is a reason for each one of these the designs that is protected under design law. That reason gets protected. It's not the chair gets protected, but the reason behind the design of this chair that gets protected. Then the reason for the mind for this being as a dream has no meaning, has no purpose. Next please. Sorry. Okay. What is intellect? Is your experience intellect, or is your knowledge intellect, or is your qualification intellect, or what is that certificate or a degree? What is intellect? In all these things, your intelligence, your intellect is object. In your experience, what is that you are experiencing? You are experiencing intellect. So in intellect, in experience, intellect is object. In knowledge, what is that you are gaining? Again, intellect. So what you are in knowledge also, the object is intellect. Qualification and even certificate. What is there in is object. Now intellectual property talks of intellect as subject. Do you understand the difference between? In all these things, you have intelligence as object. Now, the scope of intellectual property is understanding intelligence or dealing intelligence as subject. Did you understand what I mean to say? Did you understand the difference between object and subject here? In all these places, the intelligence is the object that which you perceive. And here in case of intellectual property law deals the very intellect all about. The very subject matter of intellectual property is not knowledge or experience, but in fact is the very intelligence itself. So that's what it is being written here. Intellect is a manifestation of all the attributes of mankind. Manifestation is what is most important. If you are a good writer and if you don't write, sorry, there is no meaning of your intelligence. If you are a good painter, if you don't paint, sorry, there is no purpose. If you are a good speaker and if you don't speak, if you are an auditor, if you don't audit, if you are a doctor and if you do not prescribe medicine or deal patients, no purpose. So intellectual property talks about all that in its manifested form. Now frame the right question here. What is intellectual or who is intellectual? How it should be understood? The word intellectual to be related to what? Frame a good sentence or good question from these three words. What is intellectual or who is intellectual? How do you frame it? What is intellectual or who is intellectual? What would be the more appropriate framing of question? Who or what? What is intellectual? Is that true? What is intellectual? What is intellectual means what? Who refers to person, and intellectuality we are referring to who only in intellectual property. We do not refer to intellectuality in things. Did you understand what I mean to say? We don't register intellectual property behind the speaker to the speaker. Did you understand? We do not register intellectual property of design to this bottle, but we register design proprietary rights to the designer, the person behind it, not the body. It is the person from whose mind it has emanated, from whose is this manifested form is all about it. Pepsi bottle has a different size and form, Coca-Cola has different size and form, and this bottle has different size and form. That who is the person behind this is all about the intellectual property, and we attribute those proprietary rights to that person, not to the things. Are you getting my point, please? So that is the reason why I have given this picture. Somebody is there from whose hands the intellectual property is getting manifested or eliminated. This hand is important for us. And this hand is our client. This hand is our client. And we need to help this fellow in nurturing this intellectual property in a much bigger way. That's where our business lies. That's where our opportunity lies. In fact, you cannot create this. Can you? You cannot. Nor you can this. These two belongs to your client. You need to put this what he has created and in his hands safely, ask him hold it properly, nurture it regularly, and then to protect it for lifetime. The main purpose of this session is to give you awareness of this and this. Next. So a person who manifests his intellectual property is called intellectual, and such manifested form of him is his intellectual property. Very clear. What is property then? I can give you umpteen number of examples of property. As I told you, you yourself is an intellectual. You yourself is an embodiment of property. Many properties are there, but we don't deal with the property. See, it's like this. Say, for example, if I sell this piece to the presiding officer, sir, I sold it to you for 50 rupees, right? For 50 rupees, I sold it to him. Now check this. What did I sell to him? Think carefully. What is that? This has been taught in the Sale of Goods Act itself, very clearly. But we heard, unheard it. We did not pay attention too much on Sale of Goods Act because we considered it as very easy to understand, and we are buying and selling it out in the market, so we know it. Now tell me, what is that I sold to him? What is that I sold to him? Did I sell this piece? Did I sell this piece? I sold my proprietorship of usage, which is embedded in this, to him. So I do not sell goods, but I sell proprietorship in the form of goods under Sale of Goods. That's the reason why in Sale of Goods Act also, it is categorically said, it is the property movement which is important than movement of good. Payment of price is not essential element under Sale of Goods, though consideration is required. Delivery of goods is not essential under Sale of Goods Act, though that is also required. But what is most important out of them is passing of my property to him, which is happening in the form of good. So what we buy, what we sell is also the property of someone. We do not buy and sell the goods for God's sake. So the property word has been seconded, and these materialistic things have superseded. The very philosophy of the word property has been undermined, and these pretty goods have been taken into consideration, and we started believing that what we are studying is about the goods, but for God's sake, it is not the good which we are talking about. We are talking about proprietorship in the good, which belongs to somebody else. Say, I purchased a Nokia mobile. What is that I purchased? Did I purchase the word brand Nokia? No. Did I purchase the know-how in the Nokia? No. Did I purchase a mobile number? Did I purchase the shape? Did I purchase the form of it? No. Then what is that you purchased? The moment we purchase, we show it to 1,000 people saying, I am the owner of this property. There are many who have come and who will come, who have acquired it and who are going to acquire it after you. What is that you are talking about? I acquired this Sina pancake. I am the owner of this property. No, for God's sake, don't show the properties. Show the intellect in that property, which is yours, which you can use. My intelligence of this is of using it. Did you understand? My intelligence of this is constrained, restricted only to using of it. I cannot replicate it. If you understand this very fundamental principle, whatever you buy, you respect the intellectual property of that. Because once you understand what is that I purchased and own in it, you do not try to surpass or circumvent into the properties of others. The moment I misunderstand or mistake that I purchased everything of it, then only I get to replicate it. Once I understand what is my relationship with it, what the bloody hell I'm holding in my hand, is it the entire property of it? No, there begins my respect to intellectual property. We must understand that. The moment I sit in it, I must realize the fact, the intelligence of this person giving me the comfort to the extent it is required. I am not supposed to lean on it like this. The property of this doesn't allow me to use this property like this. Then I sit in it. I use it to the extent I require to use it. In that way, I am respecting the maker's intelligence.